Next, we have Pam Janis from the class of '80 to introduce our next Alumni Award winner, Jeff Gottlieb from the class of '80. Is this good? Yeah, okay. I am thrilled to introduce Alumni Award winner Jeff Gottlieb, my friend of 35 years. Just before school started in August of 1979, friends in LA told me I had to meet a friend of theirs who was in the class. Using the technology of the day, landlines, we got together, went for a walk, and have never stopped talking. Jeff came to Columbia to become an investigative journalist whose stories would cause people to say, "heads rolled." He fervently believed in journalism that called out the cruel, the cowardly, and the corrupt. His inspiration was a California reporter named Phil Tracy. Phil was the reporter who, in 1977, co-wrote a magazine exposé on a West Coast religious cult, the People's Temple, and its charismatic leader, Jim Jones. Phil knew something was wrong, and he was right. 18 months later, 933 of Jim Jones' followers committed mass suicide by drinking cyanide-laced Kool-Aid. Jeff wanted to be that journalist, a reporter whose painstaking research and interviewing skills spoke truth about power. Checking back in 35 years, how did he do? At the San Jose Mercury News, Jeff uncovered Stanford University's gross misuse of federal funds. His reporting led to congressional hearings and changes in federal law. Stanford University's president resigned, heads rolled, and Jeff won the George Polk Award. Jeff joined the LA Times in 1997, where he distinguished himself in the paper's Orange County Bureau, and then came the Bell, California story. It was crazy. In a town that was all of 2.5 square miles with about 40,000 residents, town officials built an estimated $5 million to pay themselves stratospheric salaries. The city manager was making $800,000. Even the part-time city council members were making $100,000. One of them, a minister, told Jeff he thought his high salary was a gift from God. Jeff later said when he heard that, he thought, no, the gift from God is your quote. Heads rolled. Besides the Selden Ring and Polk Awards, the Bell coverage earned Jeff and his colleague, Ruben Vivas, the Pulitzer Prize for Public Service in 2011. There were felony convictions, statewide reforms, and a federal investigation. Never one for self-praise, the day he won the Pulitzer, Jeff was quick to point out to me that his son Zachary, then aged 3 or 4, could not have cared less. His wonderful wife, Stacy, was proud. Phil Tracy would be too. Harlan Ellison, in his book, An Edge in My Voice, described Phil Tracy as, quote, a newspaperman out of the old school where precision and imagination and getting the spelling right counted. And that is just how I would describe Jeff. And today brings us full circle. Phil Tracy and his then wife Penny were the friends in LA who said we should meet. Congratulations to Jeff on his Alumni Award. The class of 1980 is so proud of him.
Thank you very much, Pam, and I can't help myself by telling this. What Pam didn't tell you is second semester, both of us needed a place to live, so we went to the graduate housing office and we told them we were getting married over the Christmas vacation. And we needed a 2-bedroom apartment because we needed one for a study. And it turned out they didn't have any apartments, but as we were walking out, the woman in the office turns to Pam and says, "You'll make a beautiful bride." This is truly an honor to be standing here with the other award winners, including my classmate, Wayne Dawkins, and to be following the incredible journalists who previously been named Alumni of the Year. I'm joining other classmates who won this award, Tom Rosensteel and James McBride. I remember the time James was working for People magazine and he came to LA on a story. We drove his rental car 200 miles south into Mexico, got very drunk, as he told me about his idea for a book about his white Jewish mother. It became a bestseller. Myron Kandel, the father of one of my classmates, Bethany Kandel, also received the award, and I spent a Passover Seder at their apartment when we were in school. In between courses, Bethany's dad and I ran to the other room to watch a fight on TV. I don't think getting punched in the mouth was one of the 10 plagues. My father died last month, and I know how proud he was that I went to Columbia, and how excited he was when he found out I won this award. I still can't figure out how I got into Columbia, and I'm trying to figure out who nominated me for this award. When I learned I'd been named an Alumnus of the Year, my first thought was that the development office had mixed me up with some hedge fund heavy hitter it thought would make a huge donation. So what happened last week? I got a call from a student as part of the annual fundraising campaign. Despite my donations, I don't think there will be a Jeff Gottlieb chair anytime soon. Attending Columbia was one of the seminal experiences of my life. I never had a journalism class as an undergrad, nor had I worked at the school paper. Once I figured out I wanted to be a journalist, I was trying to teach myself how to write and trying to support myself freelancing. Things were going so well that I was eating tuna casserole without the tuna. I've never worked as hard as I did at Columbia, but I've never had so much fun. It was the last time I was with a bunch of smart people my age who were desperately interested in the same thing I was. Of course, there was the attraction of New York, a great place if you have lots of money or no money, and I had none. I loved it and still miss the city. A few months ago, I was on the phone with John Markman, a classmate who's sitting at my table, and we were talking about going to our 35th reunion. We agreed that even though we don't see our classmates often, there will always be a closeness among us because of the intensity of that year, and we couldn't wait to see everyone. At Columbia, we were taught the right way to do things, a struggle for perfection that has not been followed in my professional career nearly enough. For that, I can thank professors like Norman Isaacs, who we call the Isaacs Tola, Rowan Miller, who would look up at me while editing my stories and quietly say, "Mr. Gottlieb," leaving me to wonder why I hadn't made those changes, which were so perfect. Spencer Claw, who went on and on about how much he liked my magazine article, even though he had scribbled so much red ink on my story, I think I recognized 2 or 3 sentences as mine. And Irv Horowitz, who yelled at us during the entire 2 or 3 hours of our weekly editing class, but whom we quickly learned was as mean as a puppy. We used typewriters when I was at Columbia. Does anyone remember what those were? Thank you. Mr. Horowitz, I can't call him anything else, took us to the New York Times, where he was an assistant national editor, to show us these newfangled machines they were writing on. I was terrified of computers. I remember thinking, what if I'm a really good journalist, but I can't figure out how to use a computer, and my career is screwed? Certainly, journalism has changed since my class left Columbia, and the school has been forced to adapt, as have we. For all I know, someone is tweeting this ceremony and then will post photographs at Facebook and Instagram. Regardless of the format, though, great journalism remains based on thorough reporting, clear writing, original thinking, and uncovering what powerful people want to keep secret. All I could think of when I was writing this speech was, please, clear, vivid writing, no cliches, no redundant words, because Norman Isaacs and Roland Miller and Irv Horowitz and Spencer Claw would kill me if they heard anything else. Thank you.